I have finished nailing down our plans for homeschool year number 17. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tricia. And like I said, this is year number 17 for us. I have a daughter who's starting grad school in the fall, and then my boys are going into 12th grade and 10th grade. Now, as often happens, I posted my plans back in April, I believe. And then, yeah, our plans changed quite a bit. So, not because any of those were bad choices, but life changes. So, in that, I posted them as separate videos. I will have them linked below if you're looking for ideas still. But in this video, I'm going to do both of them together. My two boys are taking pretty separate paths. Like I said, my daughter is in college. She went to a not very selective 4-year school. She did it in 3 because she carried credits over from high school. And then she's going to grad school. Ben is, for now at least, community college bound, probably just doing something in a trade school pathway rather than like an associate. We'll see. Matthew has his eyes on a competitive school, probably something within the sciences, engineering. So I have kids who've taken very different high school pathways. And because of that, we are not a family who says, well, we use this curriculum for U.S. history for all kids. We use this curriculum for math. That's not us. It absolutely changes from kiddo to kiddo and from year to year. So let's start with my 10th grader, who, like I said, has his eyes on a more selective college, a more competitive major, and this year is going to be an opportunity for growth for both of us. Lots of focus and challenge for him, and lots of patience and deep breathing growth for mom. It's going to be a challenging year. I'm looking at it and I'm worried about some of the subjects, but we are going to go for it and see what happens. So let's start out with math and sciences. So for math, he is continuing to use Math Without Borders. He will be doing Algebra 2 this year. If you're unfamiliar with Math Without Borders, these are videos that you get, so it's self-paced, using textbook. In this case, for algebra, he uses Forrester's. And in fact, the math book he's going to use for Algebra 2 and Trig is the one I used in high school, which I find pretty amusing. Speaking of, I don't have any of the materials here because these are just finalized and a lot of this is online. I will be inserting some images as we go along, though, for you. So the videos are the teacher, teaching the lessons and teaching the material to go along with a traditional textbook. He just finished geometry this year, and I have a review video coming out for that. We loved it. Too long, didn't read. We loved it. Algebra, I have a flip through of the book that we use, which is Forrester's Algebra, down there, but I don't have a review on Math Without Borders Algebra. This has worked really well for us. He enjoys the teacher's teaching style. We had tried a live class for him. Fantastic teacher. It was not her. In fact, my daughter used her, loved her. But Matthew really needs a self-paced math class. So I'm glad we learned that in pre-algebra because, yeah, it saved us a lot. So he's, like I said, Algebra 2, science this year, or math this year. For science, he's actually doubling up this year, which is one of my concerns. He's going to do AP Bio through Blue Tent Academy, which uses the the McGraw-Hill AP Bio textbook. I wanted to do this as a self-paced course. I have a friend who used to teach AP Bio at one of the high schools, local high schools. Fantastic teacher, great AP test result scores for her kids. She offered to give me all of her materials. Matthew was concerned that not having like solid set deadlines from an outside provider was going to make it harder for him to stay on top of it, which is fair. I think it would have been okay, but I'm trying to give that autonomy to my kids. I really, really try in high school to give them as much power and control over what we do as I can reasonably. This may be a costly mistake for us, but it'll be a learning, whatever it is, it will be a learning curve for us. His second science is going to be a chemistry through our homeschool co-op. And this one is not a secular material. He's going to be using the Berean builders. I traditionally have not had my kids take any core classes through our co-op for a variety of reasons, but that's just been my stance. However, this year he really wanted to take it. I really like who the instructor is, so we're going to go for it. Our co-op only meets, I think it's 22 weeks out of the school year. So I don't know what we're going to end up doing for that extra time. We may continue in that textbook. I've also talked with him about doing the CLEP study through modern states and maybe taking the CLEP chemistry test. We'll see. We're definitely going to need to fill some time there, but I don't know. Until I get the syllabus, I don't know how much we're actually going to need to cover it or how much additional we're going to need. Social studies. We were going to do U.S. history this year, but he thinks he wants to do AP U.S. history, and there was no way we could do that this year. I said that's where I draw the line of adding that course in too. So we're going to move U.S. history to next year, and this year he wants to do AP Human Geography, which is one of the easier AP courses. And if you aren't really familiar with AP courses, I just put up a video recently all about them. So I'll leave the link down there. Definitely go check it out. However, I don't know what material we're going to use on this yet because he really wants to take it as a live class. And I don't think there's any way that we can do that. Self-paced from an outside provider, I'm willing to do, but we just can't do this as a live class. With everything else, one more set due dates, I think is just going to be, that might be our breaking point. So we're not sure yet if we were going to do it through a self-paced outside provider or if we're going to use the outline and one of the textbooks that they suggest and do it on our own. He's going to continue German. He has an online provider that we have been using this year. He meets with her once a week and then does the curriculum the rest of the year, or the rest of the week. She only has German 1 and 2, so next year we will need to switch providers. But this it's been a good fit for him this year. English, we are going to use Write at Home for his writing this year. He really enjoys creative writing. He doesn't enjoy much else. And I needed to give this to someone else to do. I love to write. I don't even mind teaching writing. But so far, none of my kids and I have meshed when I try to teach writing. They don't want my feedback. I don't know what it is. So for each of my kiddos, I've outsourced the writing. Ben has used Write at Home the last 2 years. It is definitely slower paced, but it has drastically improved Ben's writing. He's a pretty good writer naturally as far as storytelling. Structure, not, he needed help with structure, and it's been good for him in that way. So I'm hoping it will be similarly a good fit for Matthew. Now, because he has such a heavy year otherwise, his English credit, we are going easier this year. The literature portion of it will just be some books that we read casually at home, or he reads casually at home. My goal is to have him do 6 books, a light amount of vocabulary and comprehension analysis type questions as he goes through, some kind of a final project, and that's going to be it. His electives are going to be a personal finance class through our co-op and an art class, a watercolor class. I think both of those will be good for him. I am especially excited for the art one because I would never have picked the art for him. So I think it's fun that that's what he ended up choosing. And then he will also do musical theater. I don't know if I'm counting that as an actual elective or if that will end up going on his transcript as an activity. He did it last year as well, and right now it's on his transcript, but we may end up shifting it over to activity at some point. So not that it really matters, but FYI. In addition to all of this, he also does soccer with a local homeschool soccer team, which is a 4 afternoon a week schedule. So his biology class through Blue Tint is a Wednesday afternoon. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday afternoons, he's at soccer, which is part of why I'm concerned, because it's a big chunk of our day to do soccer. And I'm excited for the year. I am extremely nervous for his year. And trying not to show it. Trying. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about Ben. Ben's only class that he absolutely needs a credit for is English. Everything else, he technically has enough credits to graduate with the standards that we set for our homeschool. So planning for this year was I didn't know where we were going to go with it. And then shortly after I posted that last video, he said, I think I want to go back to co-op next year. I said, oh, really? He stopped going to co-op in middle school, about halfway through one of the school years. I think it was his 8th grade. He's like, I'm done. He had some issues with one of the teachers. He didn't like some of the stuff she was doing in the class, or the content she was bringing in that wasn't relevant to the course. And so co-op's never been part of his high school. So I sat down with him and we looked at the courses, and he ended up choosing a couple of electives. He tried for 3 courses, but one of them was full by the time we got to it. So he's doing 2 classes this year, and Matthew's doing the 3. The other thing that not really changed from when I posted the other video, but I didn't have any details, and I still don't entirely, but he is doing a couple of dual enrollment courses at our community college. I have been trying to nail this down with the homeschool counselor at it, and honestly, I am about at my frustration breaking point with him. That's a whole rant, but hopefully next week we're going to be able to nail down exactly what courses he's going to take. So let's talk about what I do know for sure. First one is math. He is going to take statistics at home. Our original plan had been that he would do this through dual enrollment. He may still do that in the spring. We'll see. But I am not quite sure that he's ready to take on a college level math course yet at the pacing that he would need for at the dual enrollment. Elizabeth did it in her junior year, and she, I would say, is a stronger math student, and she would spend a couple hours a day, sometimes longer, to get through her work. I am not sure that Ben would even be able to do it at that amount. So in the fall, we are going to start with some statistics at home. And then if he still wants to do dual enrollment statistics, he'll be that much better off in the spring when he goes to do it. And if he doesn't, then this will be just his math credit. We can continue it into the next semester. So we are going to start off using, we'll see if we end up changing, but I'm going to do statistics through Khan Academy. They have a high school statistics, a getting ready for high school statistics, a statistics and probability, and they have an AP statistics. So there are lots of options that we can do this with. I'm going to start them off with the high school physics or high school statistics, and then we'll add from there. Like I said, he has all the math credits he needs, but he enjoys statistics and he enjoys probability. So I think it's worth exploring it for him. Now for science, he is going to take a horticulture class through our community college. I don't know which one. This is something I'm still trying to get the counselor to nail down for me. But he'll take one, maybe two. We're going to look and see if we can make that work for his schedule. I would love that for him, but I'm not positive yet. So that will be his science. For social studies, again, he has all the credits he needs. He has three social science credits already. But we have not finished U.S. history. We've been doing it as a 4-year cycle, and he's up through early 1800s. So I would like for him to mostly just do U.S. history this year. We will add in some world history, but it's going to be mostly a U.S. history year for him. We will use U.S. History Detective, continue with that, and then great courses. There are 2 history ones that he's enjoyed from last year. Major Turning Points in U.S. History, I think is the title of it, as well as A Skeptic's Guide to U.S. History. He would also like to take a psychology course, so I'm hoping that we'll schedule that for the spring. Whether we're doing that at home, maybe through Arizona State Universal Learners dual enrollment program, or doing it at the community college, I don't know yet, but I think a psychology course in the spring would be really good for him, and it's something he wants to take. So that will be spring. English, he wants to take a couple of the short 8-week courses through right at home. In the past couple of years, he's done the full year-long courses. But this year, I wanted to give him a little bit of a lighter year with writing. Because the last 2 years, the writing has taken up enough time that he's not done as much literature as he likes, and he loves to read. So this year, we're going to back off the writing a bit and let him have more time just to read. With this being his senior year, I'm really trying to lean into what does he really like and what is really going to be best for him as a student. I've got a lot of mixed, I got a lot of mixed emotions about this. I really try through all of our homeschool years to meet the kids where they are and what they want to do and the curriculum they want to use and such. But the thing with my other 2 is that I know they're going on to college and they'll get more there. Ben, he loves to learn, so I know that he will continue to read like nonfiction and such and seek out other ways to learn. But it's a very different thing when I know that like he probably won't have any more formal writing instruction or literature or whatever. I don't know. It's a weird way of approaching all of this for us. I'm not one who doubts myself generally, especially in the homeschool. But I do wonder if I've done right by him. Back to writing. He wanted to do for his 2 8-week sessions literary analysis and short story. So he will do one of those in the fall and one in the spring. In the spring, we may also end up doing English 101 through Arizona State University's Universal Learner Program. Because if he does decide that next year he wants to go to the community college for an associate's, and we could knock that English out at home and transfer it over. If he is not going to, then I don't believe he needs any English, in which case we will probably just skip it. If so, he'll be doing some double writing in the spring, and that's fine, but we're going to wait and finish or finalize that one once we get closer to the spring. Now for electives, he's doing the same watercolor art class at co-op that Matthew's doing, and a welding class through dual enrollment, assuming they still have slots left open. Again, when Elizabeth took dual enrollment courses, she went to one of the other community colleges. And our counselor was fine, fantastic as far as very efficient. She wasn't necessarily, she was helpful, but not effusively so. This one, so by the time we get to actually finalize the classes, I don't know there are going to be any slots for welding, but we are going to really try because that is something he really wants to do. And then his last electives will be a Bible literacy course through our co-op. So, as of July 9th, I think it is, that's what our plans are. We have a little over a month before we start our school year. So there's definitely time for things to change. We'll see. Frankly, I don't know. Our school year often changes from spring when I start planning until the fall. I have found that it definitely has changed more without my high school kids for whatever reason. Like, maybe because there are more options now than when my kids were in elementary, when we started homeschooling back in 2009. And the homeschool world just looked so completely different than what it does today that, there just weren't as many choices when we started. I don't know. We are a family that often waits until the last minute to finalize things, and it's no different in our homeschool life. So that's what we are doing for 10th and 12th grade homeschool year number 17. Thanks for watching.